Hi, this is Richard White again. Today's fly is a variation on an Elk Hair Caddis. Now, Elk Hair Caddis are among the simplest caddis patterns to tie and one of the most effective ones. This one is a little bit different in that I'm using a trick that I caught from a video from Davey McPhail, which is using Micro Glint, which is a product of thread with a bright tinsel wrap around the thread, and it can really brighten up a fly. And I'm going to use Micro Glint for the basically as my tying thread. It's also going to be the body of the fly. So very simple fly to tie, quite effective. Times when you want something just a little bit brighter for the fish to notice. So start a little ways back from the eye, basically using that as my marker for where the wing will start. And I'm going to use touching turns to wrap all the way down to the beginning of the bend of the hook. Clip off the excess. Now I'm going to go forward and back in touching turns several times just to build up the body a little bit, since there is no dubbing on this fly, just the Micro Glint. So I will just keep wrapping. This is my second time to the rear, back to the front, third time toward the rear, and you sort of decide for yourself when you think the body is thick enough. Now at this point I'm going to tie in the hackle. The Micro Glint I'm using for this particular fly is lemon quartz, but it comes in dozens of colors. So to contrast, I'll be using a brown hackle. And I want the hackle to be about 1 1/4 times the gape of the hook. So now to prepare the hackle, I'm going to hold the tip, pull back the hackle fibers, clip the tip off, lay the tip of the hackle on my side of the hook shank, and then use touching turns to come all the way forward once again, which will thicken up the body a little bit more and also thoroughly bind in that hackle. And then I'm going to stop roughly where the where I will attach the wing. Now I'm going to palmer the hackle. So it helps to pull these out since I'm working from the tip. And I palmer the hackle going forward, fairly tight turns, but this is mostly a matter of taste. I like the tighter turns because these are very effective flies in riffle water. So with the heavier hackling, it will float that much better. And then bind it down 2 turns, bring the hackle back, come back over the top of it to thoroughly lock it in place. Now, something I always do when I'm clipping is I get my finger between the thread, where the thread is hanging, and the hackle, cut off the hackle. That way I cannot cut the thread unless I cut my fingers off, which I generally prefer not to do. Alright, so hackle is bound down. Now I need a little bit of elk hair. In this case, I'm going to use some bleached elk hair because I want this fly to be a little brighter, a little more visible. I'm going to take a chunk of hair off of here that is 2/3 the thickness of a pencil roughly, and Clip that off the skin. Hold that, and then I'm going to roll this between my fingers to spread the fibers. Then I can pull out any of the loose hairs or under fur. And that looks like it's a little too much wing, so I'll pull some out. Then these will go into the hair stacker. Obviously tips first. Tap a few times. And when I take them out of the stacker, I definitely want to make sure that they're pointing in the direction the wing will be pointing. So towards the rear of the fly. That'll minimize the amount of handling. Excuse me. Now I want the wing to extend just a little bit beyond the bend of the hook. So once I measure that out, lay that on top. I'm going to pinch the hair fairly tightly. 1, 2 loose turns around. Keep pinching while I pull up on the thread. And this thread is fairly strong. So 2, 3 times around, 4 times around. It's starting. I want it to flare but not spin. Pull some of the hair back, a turn. Pull more of the butts back, a turn. Pull more of the butts back, a turn. Make sure this is all firmly back. Now I want to go underneath the butts to really stand them up and also to create a small head. And once I've done that, I can then whip finish. Now what I like to do is to put my head cement directly on the thread as part of whip finishing. It's a little simpler, especially when you've got a lot of things around the head. Now I'm going to reach forward with one finger to pull most of that hair back. That'll make it a little easier to whip finish underneath. Draw it up tight, snug it in. Cut it back. Now all that's left to do is to trim off the head. So I'm going to pull on, and turn this so I can see it better. I'm going to pull all those butts forward, then laying my scissors against the eye of the hook. I'm going to have an upward cut at about a 45-degree angle. And what that's going to do is to allow the head to blend into the wing, to really keep that that caddis shape. Then I can go back and see if there are any particular hairs that are in the way. I've got a 1 hair butt sticking forward there I'd like to trim off. And now all I'm looking for, are there any butts where I should only have tips, in which case I can go back and trim those. And when you're done, you have a very nice, simple elk hair caddis with a very bright, in this case, bright yellow gold body. Again, very simple fly, very effective, nice for riffle water. They float well. The light color helps you see them better, and fish like them, so what could be better? Thank you very much for watching. I'd appreciate any comments you can make down below. And thank you again. Bye-bye.